Hi, everyone. My name is Hannah Edwards, and I'm the Assistant Director of Habitat for Humanity of Key West and Lower Florida Keys. Welcome to our info session about Habitat's Homebuyer Program. In this presentation, we will discuss what Habitat for Humanity is, how our Homebuyer Program works, how we build affordable homes and keep the homes affordable to low-income families, where we're building, and how the application process will proceed. By the end of this presentation, I hope you'll have a better understanding of Habitat's Homebuyer Program and the application process. What is Habitat for Humanity? Habitat for Humanity is a global organization with affiliates in more than 70 countries. We are in all 50 states. There are at least 50 affiliates in Florida, and we are one of 3 affiliates just in the Florida Keys. To date, Habitat for Humanity International, all of us affiliates, have helped more than 61 million people improve their living conditions. Our affiliate serves the area from Key West through Big Pine Key. At Habitat for Humanity, we really focus on home ownership. Our country's economy is built around home ownership, and it's the best way for families to begin to accumulate wealth. Homeownership's a big deal, and you want to give this decision a lot of thought. When you rent, you don't have to think about property taxes or mowing the lawn or home repairs. While homeownership has many positive outcomes, it also comes with a lot of responsibility. So you want to think seriously about whether you need flexibility in where you live for the next 10 or 15 years or not. And do you like taking care of a property and doing landscaping, fixing issues, or would you prefer to just be able to call a property manager or a landlord? Not everyone wants to worry about the hassle of managing a property, and that's okay. But there are a lot of great things that come with homeownership. You can see here the pros and cons. The pros including stability, security, the ability to build wealth, the tax benefits, and studies show that children do better in school and that health outcomes are better for the whole family. You can also personalize your home, and it gives you that pride of ownership. And your mortgage payments with Habitat, the principal payments will always be the same for the life of your loan. Now, the cons include that you need some money upfront for closing costs. You will be paying property taxes. There will be maintenance and repairs that you'll need to save for. Your cash will be tied up in the home because you'll have paid those upfront costs. You'll have less mobility, and the insurance payments can increase. So while your principal payment will stay the same for the life of the loan, the taxes will probably increase a little bit, and your insurance is not something that we can control. And in the past few years, that has increased. Let me tell you a little bit about Habitat's Homebuyer Program. First of all, who qualifies for our program? To qualify, families must demonstrate 3 things. We're really looking for families that have a need, which means that your family income falls into the income bracket that we serve, and that where you're currently living is either substandard or too expensive. You also must have the ability to pay an affordable mortgage and have stable employment. You'll be making a monthly mortgage payment along with your taxes and insurance. And the third category is that the families must be willing to partner with Habitat. So this means that you're willing to contribute sweat equity hours, and that there's also an education component. You'll be completing educational classes. Habitat for Humanity is an equal housing opportunity, and this means that we're pledged to the letter and spirit of the U.S. policy for the achievement of equal housing opportunity throughout the nation. We encourage and support an affirmative advertising and marketing program in which there are no barriers to obtaining housing because of race, color, religion, sex, handicap, familial status, or national origin. So I'd like to dig into these 3 categories a little bit more to explain to you what we're looking for in our applicants. To demonstrate the need for housing, a family must show that where they're currently living is substandard. So this could mean it's unsafe physically, or it's an unsafe neighborhood, or there could be pests in the home or mold. It could be overcrowded, or you could be paying more than 30% of your income on the rent. Also, we are looking for people that fall into our income bracket because that's the families that we serve, that were mandated by Habitat for Humanity International to serve people in the 80% of the area median income category. So you can see from the chart on this page, the maximum incomes for single adult households, which are here, and the total maximum income for married or domestic partner households. So you would look at how many total people are in the households in each of these categories, and you would see the maximum income that you could have as a family. We also want to make sure that you have the ability to pay your mortgage. So when we evaluate your ability to pay, we will look at your employment history and your credit and your payment history. We don't have a minimum credit score, but we do look to see if you pay your bills on time. There is a minimum income for the homes we're building, and that's to ensure that your mortgage payment does not make up more than 30 to 35% of your income. If you're paying more than that for housing, and many of you probably are right now, that means that you're considered to be housing cost burdened. So we don't want to put anybody in that situation. Our final category of criteria is the willingness to partner, and that means that you understand Habitat's homebuyer requirements, including the sweat equity requirements, and you're ready and willing to participate. So when we talk about sweat equity, we're talking about volunteer hours that you'll spend working on your own home, on your neighbors' homes, and volunteering with Habitat and in the community. There are also education classes that are required, usually about 10 to 15 classes on topics such as budgeting, credit, debt management, and home maintenance. So how is Habitat able to keep our homes affordable for the long term? The way we're able to affordably build our homes is by utilizing a community land trust model. So while we're not technically a community land trust, we operate similarly because the land that we typically build on is leased to us from the Monroe County Land Authority with a 99-year renewable lease. So this arrangement allows Habitat to avoid spending money on land acquisition, and it allows the land authority to add affordability restrictions to the land itself. And that's why the lease stays in place. It's basically like we own the land, but the lease functions as a way to keep those restrictions in place on the land. We legally have to sell our homes at the current workforce housing sales prices, which are determined by the county on a yearly basis. Our homes always appraise at the maximum sales price because they're brand new, well-built homes. But in order to sell the homes at the predetermined price and set the monthly payment at an affordable rate, we get creative with our financing structure. So you can see on this slide an example of the mortgage breakdown. So let's say you're purchasing one of our current 3-bedroom homes for $463,125, which is the predetermined sales price. So your first mortgage, 0% interest mortgage, would be somewhere between $350,000 and $400,000. And that is the principal that you will be making payments on. So let's just say that it's $380,000. And then we will help you apply to an assistance program for down payment and closing cost and mortgage assistance. Usually we help people apply for the SHIP program, that is the State Housing Initiative Partnership Program, which is state funding but administered by the county. You can get up to $45,000 as a second mortgage through SHIP. So if you got the $45,000, we would have you put $5,000 of that towards your closing costs, and then the other $40,000 would function as a second mortgage for you. But the $380 and $45 doesn't quite make up the $463,125. So to make up the difference, we put what's called a silent third mortgage in, which is basically a subsidy layer provided by Habitat. You would never pay on that third mortgage. It was just there to help make up that sales price. So you would pay for it if you ended up selling the home, but that's the only time you would ever pay for it. Because Habitat mortgages have zero interest, Habitat homeowners are able to save a lot of money. So you can see in this example, the difference between a Habitat mortgage and a traditional mortgage with interest rates of about 6.5%, that your total savings over the course of 30 years would be almost $500,000. We have several safeguards in place to keep our homes affordable permanently. So the land lease has affordability restrictions on that. Then there are also resale restrictions on the deed to your home itself. And you will also find that Habitat has the first right of refusal in the resale restrictions. So that means that if you decide to sell your home, Habitat has the right to buy it back before you put it on the market. If we didn't buy it back and you put it on the market, you would still have to sell it to somebody in the 80% income bracket. So while our homes are deed restricted affordable and not tied to the open market, we do want homeowners to be able to earn equity in their homes so they can start building wealth. So we have what's called a shared equity formula, which allows you to build equity while still keeping your home affordable. So our formula, as long as you've been living in the home for at least 5 years and you want to sell it, you will get back all of your principal payments plus 1.5% interest on your first mortgage for each year. So let's say your first mortgage is $380,000 and you live in your home for 6 years, and then you decide you want to move. So your principal payment was probably about $1,050 a month, although your total payment was probably closer to $2,000 because of taxes and insurance. So after 6 years, you would have paid $75,600 in your principal. And then for the interest, if you multiply 1.5% times 6, that's 9%. So you would get 9% of $380,000 in interest, which is $34,200. So if you add that to the principal, you'd be getting back $109,800. Of course, if there's damage above normal wear and tear, that would be subtracted from the total that you'd get back. To date, Habitat Lower Keys has built 5 developments. Our first development was Habitat Landing on Big Pine Key. That was completed in 2003, and it consists of 15 single-family homes. Next, we did Bayside Landing on Big Coppet, and that was completed in 2010 and consists of 18 homes. Those are townhomes. In 2018, we completed 10 more townhomes on Big Coppet. That's called Lowy Landing. And then Moss Landing is our most recent large development in Cudjoe. It was named after our former director, Mark Moss, who passed away in 2018, and that consists of 16 townhomes. And we are almost finished with Cudjoe Shores, which is 4 townhomes just up the road from Moss Landing. Right now we have, or will have, 5 homes available for sale. They're all going to be 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath. We have 2 single-family homes in Big Pine, which will be on their own lots, 2 single-family homes in Little Torch, also on their own lots, and 1 townhome in Big Coppet at Lowy Landing. The townhome is what we call a recycle because the original buyers are selling it back to us, and then we will rehabilitate it and renovate it with the family that is chosen. Habitat's path to home ownership begins with the application process, and it can take anywhere from 6 to 12 months until you're in your home. Here's a visual representation of the application process. So on step 1, you're submitting your application and documents. And then step 2, we would check your finances and your financial situation to make sure it fits with our income brackets. If that is a fit, you will get an email that we are now moving on to the credit and background check. And then if it's not a fit, you'll also get an email. Once we have credit and background checks done, we spend some time evaluating all the applications, and the top 10 to 20 applicants will get a home visit by several members of our family selection committee. So the Selection committee members will come to your house to see where you live and assess your need and answer any questions that you might have about the program and the homes we're building. And then after the home visits are done, the committee meets and we rate all of the applications, and we write up summaries, and we remove the names of the applicants, and we give those summaries to the board of directors. And that is their final decision who the top 5 families are. And they will also pick alternates in case any of those 5 families decide not to take part in the program. So once those families are chosen, they will sign a partnership agreement with Habitat, which says everything that they are committing to and everything that Habitat is committing to. And at that point, you will make a $500 deposit. And if for any reason you drop out of the program, we do give you your $500 back. If you stay in the program, that comes out of your closing costs when you close on your home. So at that point, once you sign the agreement, you'll start working on your sweat equity and start taking the education classes. And that will go on for a few months. And we do provide sweat equity opportunities almost every Saturday and some other times as well. And then you can also count some of the things that you might already be doing in your community. If you are already helping anywhere for free, like you're coaching your child's sports team, or you're helping out at your church or at a school or anything like that, you can get those hours signed off on as well. Also, your friends and family can help you complete the hours. So once the sweat equity is done and the classes are done and the homes are finished, then we do a final financial review. So we want to make sure your finances don't change much from when we have initially approved you to your final financial review. So we ask that you do not make any large purchases during that time and that you pay all your bills on time as well. And then you close on your home and you get your keys. So this is the packet. If you don't have one, you can download one on our website, habitatlowerkeys.org. If you go to habitatlowerkeys.org, there'll be an orange bar at the top, and you click on that. But you click on the orange bar and it'll take you to the application page, and you can download it from there. You can also pick up a paper application in our office in Big Coppet if you want to stop by. We are at 471 Overseas Highway in Big Coppet, right between the first Circle K and the Keys Animal Care Center vet. So in the packet, there'll be this letter, which kind of outlines, the 3 categories, the deadline, etc. There is this little checklist, which you can go through and, check all these. If you can check all these, then you can continue with the application. And like I said, don't stress too much about the income, because we do often calculate it in different ways. Then you have your application document checklist. So this is everything that you need to gather. And this is what you're gonna get all of this together and bring it to our office is the easiest way to do it. You can mail it, but it would be pretty expensive. Let me know if anybody has questions about that stuff. Some of it isn't required by us, but it's required by the county. So I just kind of try and get as much as I can in the beginning. Then there's some frequently asked questions. There's this cycle again. I wrote out some application instructions for the different sections in case you need it. A family information page where you can list everybody in your family. And then this is the application itself. It is a fillable PDF, or we do have an online application that's just for this part of the application, the next few pages here. So you can either do the online application, you can fill in the PDF and print it out, or you can print out the PDF and fill it in by hand. Any of those ways work. This is just family information, and then present housing situation, and then this is where people start to get confused. Because this first section asks for your annual gross wages right here, which is before taxes, et cetera. You can just use your last year's taxes for this unless you've recently gotten a raise. And then you come down to section 6 and it asks for monthly income. So that confuses a lot of people because they forget to switch gears between annual income and monthly income. And we do want it split up by whoever's going to be the first applicant, if you have a co-applicant, and if anybody else in your household who's over 18 has an income. So we want the gross monthly for everybody. And then there's other ways that you might have an income. You might have some type of assistance from TAMP or Social Security or disability. So if you have anything else like that, we want those numbers too. If you receive child support, we want that number. We don't need the number that your ex-partner is court ordered to pay because a lot of times that differs from what you actually receive. So we would need the number that you actually receive. So you can just give us a monthly average. If, maybe they give you $400 one month and $100 one month, just average it out for us. And then here's the list of the people in your household who have an income and who are over 18. List them there. Section 7, source of down payment and closing costs. Like I said, if you get the SHIP closing cost assistance or another program with closing cost assistance, then that will help you out, but it'll still end up being around $7,000. So we want to know if you have a plan for that. Maybe you have some money in the bank and you're going to get a gift from your parents. We just want to know what your plan is. And then your assets. This is not your car or anything like that, your jewelry. It's just bank accounts. So just list any bank accounts, any savings, checking, and retirement and investment accounts here with their current balance. And then liabilities and expenses, this is your monthly payments. So if you have a car loan or a personal loan, we want your monthly payment and the unpaid balance. Also, if you pay child support, we want to know that. And then this is the only little category for credit cards right here under revolving credit. But there is also 2 columns for other if you have more credit cards, or you can add them all up into this one. But we're not asking for what you actually pay your credit cards because you probably pay more than your monthly payment, your monthly minimum payment. So we're asking for whatever the bank tells you is your monthly minimum payment. So they might say it's $25 and maybe you pay $300, but we're looking for that $25 here. Student loan debt, that won't count against you, and same with medical debt, but we do kind of want to know what your commitments are there. And then this column here, monthly expenses, this section here, a lot of people just skip this, but we do want to know. We want to know what you're paying now for these categories. And, it's really just so we can get a whole picture of, what you're dealing with right now. That's really all it's for. And this goes on to the next page here. And that's really mostly the things that trip people up is those sections there. This privacy statement you can keep. This Equal Credit Opportunity Act notice you can sign and return. Same with the e-sign Act disclosure agreement, sign and return. This permanent resident affidavit, this is only if you are not a citizen, then you would need to fill this out and have it notarized. And it would be filled out by somebody that knows you well and knows how long you've been in the country. And this last page here is only if you don't have access to your tax returns. So it tells you how you can order a tax return transcript from the IRS. Because we do need copies of last 2 years of tax returns and any W-2s that you had And if you had 1099s, then copies of those as well. All right, let's see. About how many hours can someone obtain through taking the education courses? We usually offer about between 10 and 12 classes, and they're about an hour and a half, 2 hours long. And then there is also a HUD required 8-hour class that all the adults need to take. And I'll give you links to organizations that provide those classes. They're free. And there are various schedules. You can either do it as a 8-hour class. Some of them break it up into 3 evenings. Some of them have like 2 half days. And they're in various languages as well. So, you can get, I don't know, 35 to 40 some hours through that. There's another 8-hour class that we like you to do, but it's not required like the HUD classes. Let's see, does anybody have, I'm going to stop sharing. What are the total hours that we require? It's 200 hours for a family that has a single adult head of household, single earner, and 300 for households that are led by a couple. And anybody, you can unmute yourselves if you want to ask any more questions, if anybody wants to ask a question. Hello?
Hey, it's Jenna. I'm sorry. I don't know if you can see me, but
I can't see you,
just
but
had
I
a
can hear you.
question. Okay, thank you. Thanks for doing this, by the way. I couldn't make it in person. But I was just wondering, so if I'm a single person and I qualify within the bracket, I'm sorry if you already answered this. I saw it in the chat box, but I didn't hear you if you answered it. Would I qualify and would I be able to have a roommate or like a friend help me with that payment, or how would that work?
Yes, if you are in the right bracket, you can definitely go ahead and apply. I wouldn't put a roommate or a friend on your application because you'll be buying the home by yourself, and
Right.
roommates come and go. So just apply as a single person, and then
Mhm.
yes, you are allowed to have a roommate. We
Okay.
have one homeowner in Moss Landing who bought the home as a single person, and he has a roommate, and that's fine.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Sounds like it's just that they don't have any responsibility as far as the classes or anything like that. It's
Yes.
just up to us.
Yes. And they would not be on your mortgage. It would be your own mortgage. So you would be
Okay.
responsible for that by yourself.
Fantastic. Okay. Thank you so much.
Sure. Any other questions?
Yeah, I actually had a question.
Sure.
And thank you again, by the way, for doing this as
Yeah.
well. If I had an income change and my income was higher, but then like halfway through the year, I got let go through a job and now it's much more within the bracket, like how would I report that? Or will, I
Yeah.
just have to explain that eventually?
I would say anything like this, anything that like doesn't fit into a box, write a little note of explanation and put it with your application. So just write a couple paragraphs about, you were in this job and then you changed jobs and this is your new salary and this is what you expect it to be for the next year. It's weird because like the bank that does our underwriting is looking backwards at what your income has been, but the SHIP program looks forwards at what you think you're going to earn for the next year. So we kind of have to do both. So anything that doesn't fit a box, just write a little note with it.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Any other questions? I'm going to put my cell phone number in the chat here. Feel free to call me or text me if you have questions. You can also make a time to come by the office if you have questions doing the application itself. Sometimes I'm in meetings, so it's a good idea to make a time to come by so that I'm expecting you. We also, you can, when you have your packet together, you can drop it by, hand it to myself or any of the other staff, and they'll put it on my desk. And if the office is closed, we do have a drop box that's right next to the door that you can put it in as well. So if there are no other questions, I will end the meeting. So thanks everybody for attending, and I encourage you all to apply because it's a really great opportunity.